Okay, so straight out I'm going to say I'm personally a real fan of this bike. In fact, last year when I was really having a toss-up between which bikes I was going to get, this was probably number 2 in the list actually. I'm a real fan of it. However, the chav within won out and I ended up getting the GSXR 750 instead. So we've been shooting pictures and video with this bike over the last couple of weeks in quite a lot of different scenarios as well. And probably one of the reasons why we did choose this for our 2019 collection is because it's such a beautiful bike. And I think everybody that sees this bike, whether that's bystanders or family members or people from work that have seen it, absolutely love the look of it. And you know, me too. Now this particular model is the pure version of the RnineT range, so it's the most stripped back version of the RnineT that BMW have. So this is the sport version of the RnineT Pure, and on it you get a few extras actually included. Heated grips you get, LED indicators you get a chrome exhaust, and these absolutely beautiful 17-inch spoked wheels, which in my opinion just really make the bikes look so much better. They're really, really nice. And to be honest, I really think that the sport package available on the RnineT Pure is really, really worth the money. It's only basically another £700 upgrade, and I think that's you know, you're getting way more than your money's worth if you go for the sport version of the Pure. So this particular model, loaned to us from BMW UK, also has some trick parts on from the Spezial catalogue, including some of the cylinder covers on the front. It's got different pegs, different rear set on it. It's got different levers. And different master cylinder cover as well, so some really, really nice finishings on it, I have to say. And you know, they're beautifully well made, beautifully CNC'd, and you know, they really add to the styling of this bike. So this is, I suppose, BMW's way of showing that you can customize your Pure bike, and you know, of course they're going to have it on the press bike. The RRP for the RnineT Pure Sport is £10,930, including all of the extras that BMW have put on it. We are looking at £13,225, including those extra parts from the Spezial catalogue. Now that's 2,300 quid added to the price of the bike, and yeah, I think these are a really nice addition to this particular model. However, if it was me personally and this was my bike, I'd probably scrap some of that, being honest. But what I would do is I would change the colour of the bike. BMW have just brought out this beautiful, I think it's part 719, beautiful black and gold colourway on the tank and some of the parts of the fairing, and I've seen it at various shows, and honestly in the flesh it looks absolutely beautiful. Now in terms of what I would do is customising, that would be the first check in my box. Okay, so in terms of the way it rides, now firstly we talk about the engine. So this is BMW's classic 1170cc Boxer twin. It's air cooled. It sort of takes you back to I suppose that heritage motorcycling, which is what the Pure is actually all about. And you know what, it's a fantastic engine. You get that lovely Boxer wobble when you turn it on, and when you flip the throttle, it's a lovely feeling. In terms of power, this is 110 horsepower, it's 116 newton meters of torque, which in old money is 85 foot-pound of torque. So for the type of bike it is, I don't think you're ever really going to need or want more power. You know, it's a really nice engine, loads of fun. Actually, the engine is just fantastic to hoon about on. You know, it really fits the type of bike that this is. Obviously the Boxer twin, the type of engine that it is, it just means that there's loads of torque available, you know, from right bottom low in pretty much every gear, to be honest. So loads of torque available, and actually as you rev it and you take it right up the rev range, you know, there's loads of power there, and it's actually, do you know what, it's pretty linear. Really like the way this engine behaves, and it probably encourages you to do more. Now, in terms of the suspension is really nice. It's actually quite soft, which adds to the comfort. You know, it's a really comfortable bike to ride. The seat is nice and comfortable, but it's not like wallowy in the corners or anything. It's actually quite confidence inspiring. So, you know, when you do get out there and start pushing it, it rides really well. It inspires you in the corners. It doesn't, you know, bounce around too much. I think everybody that buys this bike with the type of bike in mind that it is, I think is not going to be disappointed. It rides really well through the corners, it handles really well. It's also incredibly nimble. I've found this bike, and while it is a little bit heavier, and we'll talk about that in some more detail, this is an incredibly nimble bike. I found the turning circle like really helpful. So if you're in a city or a town and you've got to do some sort of tight corners or tight turns, I should say, or you're in a parking lot or something like that, this has probably got one of the best turning circles that I've ridden on a new motorcycle recently anyway. It's really fantastic. In terms of the brakes, in my opinion, they're absolutely brilliant. Now, every BMW that I ride, I always think, God, they've got the brakes sorted, and this is absolutely no exception. So we've got 4-piston radial Brembo brakes on 320mm dual disc brakes, and do you know what? The stopping power on this bike is really, really fantastic. Loads of power. It's quite progressive as well, and again, you know, like the handling, it's really confidence inspiring. Onto the size and the weight. Now, it's no secret that the RnineT, she's got a bit of junk in her trunk. You know, she's a wide lady, she really is, and you know, obviously you see that when you see it at shows and so on and so forth, but practically speaking, you know, getting like 2 bikes in a van like we've been trying to do over the last couple of weeks, they're not going to go side by side because the cylinders are so wide. You know, like for me, I've got a little gate that goes into my house where I store my motorbike, and you know, the RnineT took one look at it and was like, no, she ain't going in there, because she's, you know, it is a wide bike. So practically speaking, you've just got to sort of bear that in mind. It's not going to stop you filtering, it's not going to stop you doing anything else, but you know, if you've got little quirks with where you live or whatever, or you've got to stick 2 bikes in a van next to each other, it's probably not going to work out quite as you'd imagined. I would say she's also reasonably heavy. This bike is 220 kilos when it's fully fueled, which is not, it's not over heavy, but it's certainly not light either. But the beauty is with this particular model, and Rick also said this when he was riding it, and he's shot quite a lot of movies with this particular bike, is all the weight seems to be very low. The center of gravity is very low, so you never actually feel that it's heavy. It feels quite lightweight. It feels really lightweight to maneuver around if you're turning around in the road or anything like that. Yeah, you never feel that weight. It's really confidence inspiring, and with that in mind as well, I'd also really recommend it to people who are perhaps shorter or lady riders who are wanting a bigger bike as well. You know, it's quite easy to maneuver. The seat's nice and low. You're not going to feel like it's too top heavy basically. So yeah, I think that's going to work for shorter riders and lady riders too. So the RnineT has been around for about 4 or 5 years now, and obviously when it was launched there was quite a few people putting it against different bikes. We ourselves were included in a test where we put it against the Triumph Thruxton R, and you know, obviously there's been a few newer releases into that marketplace for a bike that's relatively similar, something like a Z900 RS. Obviously that came out last year. You've got the new Triumph Speed Twin that's just come out. You could even chuck into there the Indian FTR 1200, and I think they're going to be some of the bikes that people might look at when they're considering a bike like this. Personally, I think this is still fantastic, and I still think it's an absolutely fantastic choice if you're looking for a heritage, great looking roadster type machine. I think this is 100% is going to stand up in terms of the competition. I think certainly it's going to stand up if you're looking to customise, because there's so many options now available for this R nineT. You can really make it your own, and I think make it a really special machine too. Obviously, as a part of doing this test and riding these bikes, we're testing all of the Knox gear. I myself have been using the brand new Urban Pro shirt, and it's been absolutely fantastic. Obviously, we're still in February, so I'm wearing a Cold Killers product underneath it just to stop the wind chill, but itself has been absolutely fantastic. I'm going to put in the link in the description so you can check out that individual product and the product video. Really fantastic product, and also I've been using the brand new Handroid pods, which are just phenomenal and really go with this type of looking machine. I suppose the only niggle that I've got with this bike is that sometimes, well, quite often actually, when you're starting off and you're in neutral and you're trying to find first gear, it really seems to struggle to locate that first gear, and also from first finding neutral as well, it just doesn't want to do it basically, and that's not necessarily a problem. I think you can get used to it. You just sort of have to like come off the clutch and then back on it again, but it's just a bit of a pain if you're trying to get away, or if you're trying to shoot or film a sequence and you need the rider to be really smooth. It just doesn't work out very well. Also, another like little bugbear, but I think this is just a bugbear in life generally, is this type of mirrors. And while the mirrors themselves are pretty good, where they have the two bolts that sort of hold them onto the handlebar, and you start, you know, even if you're making a few little adjustments, they tend just to release themselves, and all of a sudden you've got a mirror that's quite loose and you can't find the tools to fit. You know, it's just a pain. We had it on the last bike that we reviewed in the Motor Gutsy. They had the same type of wing mirrors, and yeah, just a little niggle, but it is a little niggle. So that's been the R nineT Pure from BMW. Absolutely love it. I'm personally a real fan. I know everyone that's rode it as part of the team, and also Rick as well, he really liked it too. Yeah, I think it's a fantastic bike. So look, hope you've enjoyed this video. Please leave us a like, please leave us a comment, and subscribe to the channel too, and look forward to seeing you on the next video.